Okay. So hi there, I'm Tommy. We're going to learn how to do reverse fishtail, which looks like this. From the front. And now if you want to just get right into the movement itself, you can skip a little bit past this part. But first I'm going to talk about how the staff is traveling, just so you get a visual of where the staff is moving and how the staff is moving. It's making a circle without ever changing a point of the staff. So the staff point is on this side of my body, this staff point is on that side of my body, and it's making a circle. They're working in split time. This one hits the top there, that one hits the top next, hits the top there, etc., etc. So this little motion here is nice to think about when we're doing this fishtail, but only for towards the end of this method that I'm going to show you. The ultimate thing about this particular movement is this peak to the fall, where it comes up and then comes down. Because when this is on the side of our body, and it's going to crisscross from each side of us, this peak that's coming up has to be a pretty decent height and come down pretty close to us. This one then is going to come up and come down pretty close to us. Up, down, like this. Okay? So now we're going to talk about my method that I came up with a little while back. I feel like it's a little easier to teach than the stalling on the side hand motion that most people teach. Most people teach this method where you just basically put it on the back of your hand and you rock it back and forth, and then you try to swing your hand until it works. I found that took me a really long time to learn, and lately I've been teaching everybody this little bit of a method that kind of works similar to, if you've ever seen a contact juggle move called I want to call it windshield wipers, but it might be butterfly, where the ball is on this side of your hand, and then you transfer it to this side of your hand. I'm going to do something similar to that for this reverse fishtail. So first we're going to work about how to just get onto the back of the hand. Our aiming target of the back of the hand is basically going to be right here. We're going to have plenty of this wrist part right here. So it's a nice little, has like a little grabbing motion almost. So when you pull your hand back, it grabs it pretty nicely. But it's also going to have a little bit of this meat of your hand to recover if it's moving around or anything like that. So first we're going to have our hand in the middle, close to the center point. You could even put your thumb along the length of the staff and make sure it goes right into the center point. So this way you could see just how far away my fist is in relation to my thumb. And then you can put your thumb back down. We're going to have this extension. So it's a lot similar to a windmill in the sense that it comes up. So this swinging up motion, we're going to let the webbing get kind of strained a little bit by the rotation of the staff, and then we're going to drop it onto the back of the hand like that. So we're going to pull, drop it onto the hand. Pull, drop it onto the hand. So a little help is when it hits the back of your hand, you want to kind of embrace the impact. So don't just let it come to the back of the hand like that. You're going to drop your hand slightly to let it take in the thing. If you notice, if I keep my hand like this, it goes pretty quick. Whereas if I drop my hand slightly, we have a really slow motion. It's actually kind of hard to even describe that way. So that's your first thing to think about, is we're in this position, staff is behind me, this part of my staff is coming up and dropping down, right? Up, dropping, and catching. All right, next up, we're going to talk about this pattern that I feel is a really good way to start into the reverse fishtail. We're going to make a upside down V shape, a sort of triangle without the bottom, obviously. Just kind of, or an arrow pointing, whatever you want to call it. But basically, it's a peak at one point. The staff is going to start at the bottom of this peak, travel through the top, and come to the other side. So this is your first part of this V pattern, is as soon as that little drop of your hand comes down and the staff hits the back of your wrist, you're going to pick your hand up, just straight up into this kind of position. Boop, right to the peak of that V. So just up, right? Let me see really quick. Okay, so that's good. We'll keep in mind that when this comes up like this, we're then gonna come down the peak of that V. So as soon as you get that little drop, get that little bounce with your hand, you're gonna come up and over. And then just stop there. You don't need to keep going further. This part's really important to just kind of feel and get the start of the movement. So you come through, comes up and down. So it looks like this from this camera angle. Boom, boom. If you notice, there's two little drops. There's a drop here, comes all the way up, drops a little bit there. The staff immediately does one rotation and comes out. This is extremely useful for a lot of things. In fact, we could even, okay, let me show it from the side real quick. It's also probably a good time to show this example while on train. But awesome, right? This is really good because then you can do things like rainbow stalls, which are really nice on the back of the hand. Just kind of a little dramatic boing to there. So that's a good little start. But essentially, the whole bottom line of that is the hand comes up, then the hand comes straight down. So up at that 45, down at that 45. And this nice little V, making a straight line up, straight line down. This little impact that I was talking about is really useful for the next piece that we're going to be talking about. The next piece is to get back this way. Now remember I said before in the beginning of the video that the staff has a peak and then it falls right in front of you. On this side it peaks, falls right behind you. That's really useful in the visual of how this bounce is going to come into play. We're going to bounce from this part of the V straight up, down to this part of the V, bounce it immediately upon finishing that V, and make another V. I keep saying V, it's upside down. It's easier to say V, but it's a V upside down. So up, down, up, down, up, down, right? Or mountain peak. How about that? So, mountain peak. Boing, boom. Alright? To do this, all big dramatic motion like that, I'll show it from the side. What we're going to do is as soon as the staff makes contact on the back, we're going to do like we just practiced, where it goes straight up and straight down. But as soon as that hits on this side, it's going to like almost make impact with a trampoline. Just feet on the trampoline, trampoline immediately throws you back into the air. So up, boing, to there. So think trampoline in this part. It hits, boing, and back. If you noticed, this part, the back part of my staff here, when it switches to the front, it stays now in front of me, but this part now is going to rise up and come down. These dramatic rises are what is going to eventually make the circle that we'll come to in a minute. So here we go. Boing, boing, boing. Oh, I did three. So you come up, bounce to there. Okay? So now, I'll show it again. I'll show it from the side. Boing, boing. Right? So that's essentially the fishtail. It's not exactly the fishtail yet, but that's what I was talking about with the contact move. I think it's called butterfly actually, but the contact move, the butterfly, is you start it on this hand, you throw it up into the air, and then you drop it. That dramatic motion, if you slowly reduce the dramatic motion, it makes that rolling effect. What we're going to be doing here is making this dramatic V shape, right? Straight up and down on those bounces. The bounces are the real most important part to really work on because they help slow it down, the staff. I'm using my whole body for this dramatic V motion, right? So we want to keep that in mind when we're doing this move, is that the staff rises on the coming in front of me, falls, and then this side of my staff rises and falls. If I stop at any time, I don't do enough bounce, I'm going to get this extra beat. On the other side, if I don't do enough bounce, it's going to beat behind me, which is fine. You're going to get a second beat. You're just going to do another move. But a fishtail involves just the one beat like that. Alright, so I think I've explained that to death. So, next part is after we've gotten comfortable with this dramatic V shape, and for the record, your wrist, your arm will probably get tired after doing this for quite a few times. So feel free to come back and repeat it whenever, just to really help build kind of a little bit of like strength in the arm to just get that going naturally. So with this motion, at those bounces, eventually we are going to have those bounces so nice in time with the staff that we could slow it down, right? And when we slow it down, this peak doesn't have to be so sharp and dramatic up, right? We can lower that a little bit, which if we lowered that a little bit and we slowed it down a little bit, those bounces will then start being more curvy. So if we started here and we were really dramatic like this, then we kind of just slowed down the peak and we just kind of rounded out those bounces. Maybe those bounces won't be so bouncing anymore, just so much as shifting. And then that shift makes this little figure 8 motion. If you look at my hand is drawing the infinite symbol, sideways figure 8, bow tie, you know, whatever makes sense to you in that in your head there. But right now, we got a mountain, and we're gonna slow that down into this circle. And that is a reverse fishtail. So I hope that makes any sense. If not, feel free to send me a message or comment or anything else and ask me some questions. I'll try to clarify it for you. Have a good one.